The idea through this campaign of putting them both together is, number one, to raise enough money for both organizations to make it through an entire year without having to sweat.
Danny Gordon is president of the Toronto Eruv and vice president, chief compliance officer at Friedberg Mercantile Group. Danny Gordon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And Dovid Stein is here. Dovid Stein is a Hatzoloh volunteer, somebody who is known as somebody very involved in the community. And Yummy said earlier, somebody who actually helped bring, was that you or Danny who brought Hatzoloh and the whole thing?
That was my fault. But
we'll get into that coming up. All right, let's start with the Eruv, if we can, because so many communities would find it shocking that an Eruv actually has a budget, has financial needs, has staff and procedural matters that need to be paid for, but you see it from the vantage point of overseeing all this. What can you tell our audience?
Well, it's easy. I mean, everyone knows that Eruv has budget. We have to pay the people that check it because some people do it on a daily, once a week. Their entire day is checking the Eruv. We have to pay for... Toronto is not, we have storms, we have ice storms, we have snow, so the Eruv comes down very often. We have construction, we have a lot of construction, so the Eruv comes down often, and we have to pay someone to do the fixing. So, and then we have Metro Roads, which sometimes requires us to do. They don't like the way we do things sometimes, and
right.
We have to work with them, and we have to use their union employees. Recently, they came to us, and they're making us do all the wiring over the 401 highway, which is a huge project. So there's expenses.
It's interesting you mentioned the weather, which we thought would be one of the biggest factors up here. And you guys laugh at the Miami Eruv checker, right? Obviously, because it's so much more difficult up here at times. But that's just one of the considerations. I was also told this is a relatively large Eruv. When speaking about major cities, could it be this is one of the biggest ones in any metropolitan area?
LA may have a big one. I don't have to speak to my friend there, but it's pretty close. We're either the largest or the second largest in the world. And the halachic rules we came up with initially when we did this make it very stringent. So everybody should carry and follow it because we have Rabbi Shalom Miller as the Rava Posek there, Rabbi Akiva Steinmetz, who's also the Posek. Both of them are from the Toronto Kollel, and we are every single one of our sides is rove fence, mostly fence, and that creates a halacha that a lot of people want to have.
How old do you think the Eruv is at this point? How long has there been an Eruv in Toronto?
Toronto probably has one of the longest Eruv in time line in North America for sure. In the 1920s, Rabbi Grobart started and built an Eruv. 1920s, wow. Yeah, he came here and he built the Eruv. Reb Yaakov Kamenetsky, when he lived here in the 40s, he redid it and made it larger, and then that continued. And then I got involved in the mid 80s. Community was split. I wanted to have the community was moving north. It was growing. There was a lot of things happening. It took me about 10 or 12, 13 years to get it done. And so we've had the Eruv here since about 1995.
Plus the community, as you mentioned, continues to expand.
We've done a number of expansions over time. North, we've now probably moved since we initially put it in about 3-4 miles. We've gone east. We have to go east again. We went west to the 400, which is many miles to include one of the hospitals that was just built there. So it's an ongoing process.
I don't think this audience until this morning realized just how much Toronto is growing. The Eruv reflects the fact that it's a very, very much growing community.
Yeah,
to say the least.
Say the least.
Danny Gordon's president of the Toronto Eruv. Dovid Stein's here with Hatzoloh.
Thank you for having me as well.
A pleasure. And you've been involved with Hatzoloh for how long now?
I actually joined Hatzoloh when I was still living in New York. I was a Queens Hatzoloh member for 8 years before I moved here. And when I came to Toronto, I jumped on board.
And how long ago was that?
I moved here in 2000.
And so that's 18 years. That's
18
quite a stretch of
Thanks
time.
for the math.
And how does the Hatzoloh group in Toronto compare to what you know about the established Hatzoloh well-known groups in other areas?
The Hatzoloh group everywhere is unbelievable. I'm proud to be part of it both here and in New York. Obviously, a much smaller organization here, a close-knit organization. We're 50 guys now, close-knit. We're all like brothers to each other. We know each other intimately, and really proud to be part of the group.
Would you know offhand number of calls or the number of people that are helped on a regular basis?
When I moved here in 2000, Hatzoloh was running maybe a call every day or two. We're running between 5 and 8 or 9 calls a day now.
Oh, so
across the
a
city.
significant presence. Yeah. And we know from our experience last night that there's sometimes a lot of traffic around. And it's
yeah,
hard to
a little
get
bit
around.
of traffic. That's right.
And that means that these Hatzoloh volunteers have to be alert, attentive, and ready to really roll at a second's notice.
Absolutely.
And that's what happens, of course. Speaking with Dovid Stein, so it might be a little bit more obvious to those who are tuned in why Hatzoloh has major expenses. I mean, it's not easy, even with all the volunteers you have. It's not easy to maintain the budget that's necessary. Give us a couple of examples.
That's correct.
That would paint that picture.
Well, we're blessed in Toronto to have a medical director that allows us, under his license, to do a lot of things that a lot of the Hatzolohs around the world don't allow. Certain medications that we're allowed to give as basic life support medics. And in order to do that, it takes a lot of classes, takes a lot of medication, takes a lot of time. A lot of training, and all that costs a lot of money.
All right, I can imagine. And you're always looking for more volunteers.
Absolutely,
that obviously means more training, etc.
Yeah, I'm from the Queen's. The Queen's motto was "Flood the streets with Hatzoloh members."
You don't still have a queue number, do you?
15 was my queue number, but no longer. They gave that away.
How do we designate the numbers up here? How does that work?
Same way, by neighborhood. But it's not Q anything. It's not T anything.
Well,
it's
what is
Unit
yours?
1, Unit 2. Mine is Unit 9.
Well, congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
You've graduated to
Thank you.
single
That's
digits.
right. 15 to 9.
Which I'm told is a big deal in the Hatzoloh
Huge.
organization. All right, it's time for both of you to remind this audience why it's important to participate. We've stressed that anybody who wants to donate can do so right now by going to charity.com/Toronto, charity, CHARIDY.com/Toronto. We'll start with you, Danny. A little bit of an appeal to everybody. Excuse me. We'll start with you, Dovid. A little bit of an appeal to all the people who appreciate Hatzoloh in general and know how wonderful this community is, why they should participate.
Well, obviously nobody wants to use the services of Hatzoloh, and we hope we don't have to come to your house. But when I went to Yummy, I actually went to Yummy and a gentleman named Benzian Berkowitz about 4 weeks ago with tears in my eyes saying, we have bills to pay and we don't have $1 in the account. There's no reason for that. An organization like Hatzoloh and like the Eruv, there's no reason for that. And being that you're broadcasting in the States, I want to make a very important point. The U.S. dollar is something that we love very much here.
Right.
So don't be afraid to use it today.
100%. And Yummy made the point that people who visit Toronto, and there's a lot, the corridor between the New York, New Jersey area and Toronto is extremely active.
I want to tell you a funny story. It's not funny. We got a call about 6 months ago for a family that was heading from Toronto back to New York. They were driving on the New York State Thruway. They were in Buffalo. Got into a bad car accident, only spoke Yiddish. They called Hatzoloh in New York, who called us in Toronto. And I got on the phone with one of our medics. His name is Shuey Skase. Shuey Skase is a higher level medic. He works out of Buffalo a lot. And I said, "Are you any chance in Buffalo?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm in Buffalo right now." "Where?" And I told him where the accident was. He was a minute and a half away from this car accident. He was on his way back to Toronto. He stayed with the family for probably 24 hours, translated, got them a hotel. The Hatzoloh organization goes far and wide.
I heard about this story.
Something that everyone should be proud to support.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, Danny Gordon, tell me about the genesis of this campaign, how these two organizations and charity got together to do and to put this day together for the two organizations.
Well, excuse me, this campaign, I have to thank Yummy. He came to me, called me up one day and said, "Listen, we're doing this campaign for Hatzoloh. I think it would be great for the city if we did both because that could create a lot of buzz." And I actually thought, whoa, how are we going to raise that much money? And he says, "Don't worry, we can do it." And the fact is, it's happened. It's occurred. We've gotten a lot of donations that we're very happy to receive, and the buzz around the city is incredible. You see them on Facebook. You see how many people are sending out the brochures and what's going on, and you speak to people. I've never I raise a lot of money for a number of different organizations, and I've never seen the buzz like this in this city ever.
Yeah,
I'm doing this for over 30 years.
I think Yummy's created a hype in Toronto that I don't think it's ever happened. Really, Yummy has created. I've heard it from many people that have nothing to do with Hatzoloh and Eruv, people that have what to do with Hatzoloh and Eruv. Yummy has created something that Toronto has never seen.
And there have been some great campaigns, organizations, and
absolutely.
events up here. There have been a lot of great events up here. So keep Toronto running. That's been the one-day campaign theme, and it seems that the citizens and residents up here have certainly taken it seriously and are hopping aboard, and now we're asking everybody to do the same. Whether you're in Toronto or anywhere around the world, keep Toronto running with its Hatzoloh organization, the Toronto Community Eruv, by going to charity.com/Toronto, charity.com/Toronto. It officially kicks off at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, but we welcome, and everybody here welcomes your contributions right now, and we encourage you to do so. And I thank both Danny Gordon, thank you very much for being here,
you.
and continued good luck with the Eruv. And my thanks to Dovid Stein,
Thank
continued
you
good
so
luck
much.
with Hatzoloh, Mr.
Thank
Unit 9. There you go.